between two buoys in a Zoom meeting. We're between two buoys, virtual sailing. Between two buoys, yeah. Between two buoys in a Zoom meeting. Between two buoys, virtual sailing. Between two buoys, yeah. Between two buoys in a Zoom meeting. Between two buoys, virtual
All right. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Sam, I think you're muted.
You there, Sam?
Oh, here we go. How we doing, everybody? Can you guys hear me okay, Alec and Taylor?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We made it. Sounds like the music got a little out of hand there, but here we are between two buoys. We're okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome to the first episode of Between Two Buoys, where we bring in celebrity sailors from around the world to learn a few recipes for success with a little bit of music and a lot of fun along the way. So, yeah, tonight's episode is brought to you by Zinn Family Realtors. If you're looking, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yes.
What were you saying, Sam? What's up, Sam?
All right. Seems like Sam is having a little technical difficulty here with the mic. Maybe we can just hang out and wait for him to jump back in. Anyway, Taylor, thanks for joining us on the call here. We're doing this event on behalf of the Lake Minnetonka Sailing School and looking to provide a virtual experience for some of our sailors and get them in touch with some rock stars such as yourself. Also trying to raise some funds for the sailing school. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. We're really excited. had the pleasure of racing in the Wayzata Match Cup in Minnetonka, and that was my first time in Minnesota actually. And yeah, ready to come back again. Unfortunately, I had to miss the last year's edition, but I've been told Sam's trying to get it going again. So hopefully, when everything cools down, we'll see those M32s back on the lake.
You
bet.
guys hear me okay?
Got you now, Sam.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, we're aggressively working on the Wayzata Match Cup, and we might have an announcement about that in the next couple days. But before we jump in, tonight's episode is brought to you by Zinn Family Realtors. If you're looking to make your house fly, Carl, Max, and what?
We got you. Keep it rolling. All good, Sam?
I'm good. We're just got the recording running on the background.
Okay.
Alec, are you? There we go. That's better. You guys got it? Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right,
We're
here we go.
still
We keep
live.
getting the recording going in the background. Sorry about that, everybody. So a couple of things before we get started. From the Lake Minnetonka Sailing School, registration is open. We are live. We are ready to rock and roll for the summer. As soon as we get the green light from the state of Minnesota, we are going to be fully operational and ready to go. So if you're wanting to go sailing this summer and you're looking to get involved with LMSS, we will be ready to rock and roll for you. Remember tonight on the link below, there's a link to donate, and any dollar that is contributed tonight goes towards the sport of sailing on Lake Minnetonka. So we greatly appreciate any sort of donation that comes our way. Without any further ado, we've already chatted with Taylor a little bit, but just want to get a little background on Taylor. He's a 3-time world match race tour champion, one-time Etchells world champion, and Marstrom 32 world champion, a 2-time collegiate All-American with Boston College, and he's currently the flight controller on Team USA and in the Sail GP series. And one question I had real quick for you, Taylor, is like the flight controller, is that kind of like being like the third string quarterback that holds the clipboard, or like maybe tell us a little bit about the flight controller position?
You nailed it, Sam. That's me. Just sitting on the sidelines. No, it's super exciting. I'm super lucky to have an opportunity to sail, arguably the fastest boats in the world. CLGP is an incredible circuit. They're doing a great job kind of getting sailing out to the general public and getting, some more eyes on it, which is super cool. And, for us as sailors, it's incredibly fun. It's, super fast paced, just adrenaline, super tight racetrack. And yeah, I'm lucky to probably have one of the harder jobs on the boat, to keep the boat, up on the hydrofoils the whole time. So anytime you see something go wrong, it's generally my fault.
Right, for sure. Well, yeah, maybe just give us a couple seconds or a little bit of a, when you're in that cockpit and you're going 40 knots, which is just something that I don't know how many sailors in the world have experienced. It probably, under 50, but yeah, maybe just give us a little glimpse. I mean, you're basically controlling the fate of your team on a little tablet. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, my job again, to keep the boat on the hydrofoils. I'm controlling both the dagger board, the main foils, and also the rudder foils. So I control the angle of attack of the rudders, but then, we're also just really focused on trying to keep the platform level. So my job is, very, I have to work very kind of alongside the wing trimmer. Anytime the wing trimmer makes an adjustment, it changes my role quite a bit, because they unload and load the downforce on the leeward hull, which I'm controlling. And so, yeah, any small changes on my end affect his job, and a lot of small changes on his end affect my job. So, it's just a constant battle trying to keep these beasts under control. And like you said, I think our top speed so far is 49.8 knots.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And yeah, we had the top speed in Sydney at the first event, and I think we did like 47.8 or something. So yeah, we were looking forward to getting back on the water in San Francisco, but that's gonna have to wait till next year.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, we'll dive into that in a little bit. Before we fully dive in, though, one thing every sailor has got is their routines when it comes to just their little habits that we have on the boats, right? Like basketball players tie their shoes a certain way, got their little superstitions. For sailors, it's like putting on our sunscreen. So want to get from you, top sailor, show us your, let's get ready to go do some sailing right now. Show us how you, like what type of sunscreen you use, put it on for us, show us the whole deal.
Yeah, well, just happen to have my sunscreen here with me, Sam. Thanks for the heads up. But no, so I use two different types of sunscreen actually. One maybe not as good for the environment, but I've never gotten burned with this. Copper Tone Kids, tear free. It's really important to not get that sunscreen in your eyes. You don't want to be crying out there.
Yeah.
And then the Hark and Durham, this stuff is awesome and very good for the environment. As you guys all know, Harkin, Wisconsin based, so support the Midwest company, and
Right.
yeah, a lot of zinc oxide in both of them. But yeah, without further ado, I just like to lather it on. So yeah, first I use one hand, get a nice glob. Usually tilt my hat back a little bit. I might swap hats over this actually because that's a new hat. Stephanie still has to sell that one for a campaign. So lather it up with both hands. And
you go like lather on both hands. Aren't you a little afraid your hands are going to get a little greasy when you're pulling on some lines or steering or anything like that?
I try to do this well in advance. So
all right.
Not too worried about that, Sam, but thanks for the heads up. I love where your head's at. So start on the forehead.
That's pretty high up.
Yeah, just work my way down. Go onto the nose, onto the eyes. Really important. I really like to focus around this area here too, because I really like that sunglass tan.
I like the symmetry here. Very symmetrical as you go around the face. It's good form.
Yeah. And just kind of get a good cover everywhere. I got a big beard right now, so I wouldn't be too focused on getting it too low. But yeah, that's where we're at. And then just
what is your theory? Do you think the beard provides some UV protection or no?
Oh, absolutely. But also
really
a bit of windage as well. So you gotta, it's a trade-off.
Got it. Well, I'm gonna get ready myself here too. I've got some sun bum. I tend to like this, and usually I've just got whatever my kids have left in their swim bag. Okay. So yeah, I kind of just go right here. I just like to use one hand. I'm a little more particular about my hands being slippery on the ropes. But yeah, key area right here. Get the nose, get the back of the neck.
Oh, I do the neck too. On. Good call.
Yeah.
Always
ready to go sailing.
And I'm gonna have to hop in here too. I got my Banana Boat Kids.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're not gonna be able there. You can kind of see it. Banana Boat Kids, 50 SPF. One hand right on the nose.
That's it.
The nose is key.
Oh, okay. Different technique.
That's what I've found. Yeah. Now this stuff doesn't really rub in all that well. It kind of just sits there. So it's going to be
a little bit of that going on as well. But
right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
On your face, you're well covered. So that's my mentality.
Now we're ready to rock and roll. I feel much more protected. Actually, before we do one more thing, I'm feeling a little unstable today. I'm just going to get my life jacket on here real quick. Make sure nothing crazy happens.
You have enough buoyancy there, Sam. I don't think you're going to be needing that.
All right. So one thing that's exciting for you is you and Steph got engaged. You guys have been dating for a long time. I've seen all the Instagram stories you guys do, which is, your workouts, and that's really neat and cute. I just wonder, we all lay awake with things that we think about at night. And one thing I wonder about you is like, when you're laying awake at night, what's it like knowing you're going to get married to somebody that is probably going to be a better sailor than you? Is that weird, or how does that all go?
Oh, I thought we were friends, Sam.
Steph's going to the Olympics.
Tough to stomach. She's actually here. She's available. Maybe we'll get her, make a little guest pop in. But yeah, pretty cool. I got a pretty sweet fiance here. She definitely pushes me as hard as I I want to be pushed and maybe above and beyond. And, you know, it makes me a better person every day. And yeah, I learn a lot from her and her sailing abilities, that's for sure. But
Awesome.
yeah,
Well,
we're going to have a showdown at some point and see who the,
I've seen
yeah.
yeah.
Taylor, is it often that you two get in a sailboat together? What's that dynamic like?
Yeah, actually, you know, funny you mentioned that. We've won a national, a North American, and a world championship together. So,
Good chemistry. Okay.
yeah, we've done a lot of sailing together, and probably most recently, I hopped in the 49er FX and crewed for her for a day in Biscayne Bay, and I was like a fish out of water. Bottom of the boat, flopping around. She's just laughing at me the whole time. But yeah, it's entertaining. We love sailing with each other, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come.
That's awesome. Well, shifting gears a little bit, you grew up in St. Thomas, which is a pretty amazing place to grow up sailing. I mean, I love going down to the Caribbean, but to grow up there's got to be something. And St. Thomas has got some legendary sailors, right? Like Peter Holmberg, my good friend Anthony Katoon. You got, you know, the Barrows brothers, Ian and Thomas, and guys like Cy Thompson and that type of thing. So, like, coming out of that group, what's it like to be the 5th best sailor to come out of St. Thomas?
Always bottom of the totem pole with you, Sam. It's incredible. I was super fortunate to grow up down there. I mean, if you've ever been to the Caribbean, you know how great the sailing is. And if you haven't been, get down there as soon as you can. You know, just great trade winds every day, warm water, warm weather, crystal clear water. So, but yeah, it was tough, Sam. I'm a little emotionally scarred from always riding the curtails of that group. But
well,
yeah.
so, you know, in fairness, maybe it's like, okay, you're 2 or 3, but Holmberg, you know, pretty darn good. Like, if you in your prime, Holmberg in his prime, mano a mano, 1 match race, who do you think takes it?
Game on. I'm ready for it.
Is that you're saying you got it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
You know, that being said, I think the two of us, Peter Holmberg and myself, are the only two, or we have 2 of 4 people to win the Congressional Cup 4 times. So 8 times Congressional Cup wins for St. Thomas Yacht Club.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I didn't know that stat.
Hailing from, you know, the Virgin originally, that is.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, so yeah, let's talk about the F-50s for a minute. You know, we chatted about, I'm glad you clarified that flight controller position, because I thought you were kind of just maybe eating hot dogs during the race, but it sounds like you actually have a little bit going on. You know, so far, Team Australia has been pretty much the team to beat. Now you got the British team coming in, and they came out and smoked that last event. I mean, so far, Team Australia is kind of the Patriots, and you guys are looking a little bit more like the Minnesota Vikings. You know, they're decent, but they've never really gotten over the top. So hopefully if you guys get back up and rolling and we get some events going, what's it going to take for the USA F-50 team to get over the edge here?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. We go out and we're practicing, and everything seems to be going well, and we get into some race environments, and next thing you know, there's 6 other of these boats going, you know, 45 knots around you, and the whole game changes instantly. You know, everything comes up a little bit quicker. The boundaries are right there, and you know, there's just boats going everywhere really quickly. So I think that's probably the biggest hurdle to overcome, is getting into the kind of that race mindset with all these boats going that fast. But yeah, you know, I think we definitely showed a lot of promise in the tune-up going into Sydney, and even during the racing in Sydney, it was some good moments. So. Yeah, we just have to keep pushing. And, you know, a lot of these guys we're racing against have been in the game for many years now, in the last America's Cup. And
right.
Yeah, we've been playing catch up, and, you know, considering the few days that we get in the boat, we're pretty happy with our performance. And, you know, we're still pushing now, you know, not being on the water, we're still pushing and really learning and kind of evaluating our performance from Sydney. And, but yeah, the beauty of it is we have the data from all the boats in CLGP. So all of it is data sharing. So we have the ability to go see what the Brits are doing during racing and sync that with some video. So, you know, the learning is endless. We're just going to keep getting better. And, you know, it's not much between the boats at the moment. That's for sure.
Right. When you've done a lot of sailing on the F-50, not so much this year because he's got some other commitments, but Lake Minnetonka Sailing School's own Dan Morris. You've done a lot of sailing with Demo, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Demo, it's good man. Unfortunately,
What would you say
we're
his
taking
current
hiatus at the moment.
what would you say that accent is that he has? It's kind of a combination of a lot of things, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say mostly Australian, but he claims there's a little Midwest, Minnesota in there.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I'd give him probably at least 70% Australian.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid for sure. Well, I know we're going to jump into probably what a lot of people want to hear from you tonight, your tips for a winning start. But before we do that, you've had a lot of great rivals in all your match racing, right? Ian Williams, Phil Robertson. There was one epic race. I remember watching it live with Sally Barco a couple of years ago. I've raced against Sally a lot, lost to her a couple of times. I lost a junior ex-inland to Sally Barco, which still hurts me to this day. But you had that series with her in Copenhagen. Does that ring a bell?
It does, yes.
So maybe I want to, that series, it was what, you guys were tied 2-2. She had the lead in the last race, and it was literally like the hand came down from your spiritual leader and basically propelled you to the win. And I just wanted to find out what you learned from racing against Sally, racing against sailors from the Midwest, and just kind of having that never quit attitude from that series, because that was an amazing come from behind victory.
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of racing with and against Sally, and I got to do a lot of tune up with her leading up to her match race Olympic campaign, and we've done a lot of sailing together.
Yeah.
Against each other, and had actually just the most recent Congressional Cup we sailed together, which is awesome. So yeah, she's an incredible sailor and a mentor for me, and aspire to do half the things that she's done in her sailing career. So, but yeah, that was a big series. I'm not a very religious person, but we definitely had a little bit of something on our side in that race for sure.
Right.
But I think the biggest takeaway is one thing that I've always pushed myself to do is never give up. However far behind you are or back you are in a series, there's always something more to give. And we pushed hard right till the very end, and with a little bit of luck, it came good for us. But it didn't go without a lot of hard work. Pushing back into that race and keeping focused even when things aren't looking so good.
Got it.
Yeah, she's a great sailor though. So looking forward to our next lineup.
We're having some technical difficulties. Alec, you cued in on that?
I'm not.
But a lot of let's hear about more of your losses, Sam.
Well, probably the most recent one, which we this year East Scow Inland, all we had to do was get 10th or better in the last race. It was really windy on Oshkosh, which is not an easy place to sail a scow when it's there's 5-foot waves and blowing, and we capsized at the bottom mark. And a lot of second places in my life, a couple wins, but a lot of seconds, and that one definitely is right up there. So we don't want to bore everybody with those type of stories tonight, though.
Well, I think you're over the hurdle, and now, Sam. So I don't know if you're going to be seeing any race wins soon, unfortunately.
Oh, very good. Well, I know that we get into the meat of the show and actually get add some value for our viewers tonight. But let's kind of dive into your top 5 tips for getting a winning start, and we can kind of chat about each one a little bit. But would love to hear from you on your process on or off the water, what you're doing before races to just make sure you're setting yourself up for a good start.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, getting out on the water nice and early and just getting a feel for the race course is key. You can't really get out there early enough. Just trying to get that feeling and that just embracing kind of what's happening that day is it takes a while. And so I like to get out there super early. I like to usually go upwind. Get the speed all dialed in, make sure that we're going all right. And then, really after that, take as much time as I can to focus on, how are we going to get off the line as best we can and set ourselves up for success. So one thing I like to do, first off is just really try to figure out what the wind direction is. And if you have any notes or anything from, previous days of sailing in that venue, be like, okay, this is the wind direction, do a couple wind shots, heads the wind, and figure out, okay, maybe breeze is right of like 150 degrees, for example, we got to go right. So, really get the bearing and try to figure out if there's any trends from previous events or races, and start with that. And of course, always try to do that above the starting line. If you're doing it below the starting line, oftentimes during the bad air from the other boats. So that's a really good place to hang out in the pre-race routine and setup.
Right.
Next thing I like to do before the race is practice a couple accelerations. And also, in addition to that, also practice some down speed maneuvering. It's really important to both figure out how long it's going to take to your boat to accelerate based on the conditions for the day, breeze strength and wave state. Those are super important to figure out how your boat's going to react when you're trying to accelerate off the start line. So
one thing I've always done a good job at is when I nod my head yes, I'm pretending that I know what the person is talking about, but sometimes I actually don't know what they're talking about. So like when you say down speed maneuvering, maybe tell us what that means in kind of general terms.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I was going to get into that, but yeah, do some accelerations, get everything dialed in, see how long it takes you to get up to full speed. And then also do some approaches to the start line at kind of your low speed maneuver, or like your low speed approach to the line. And that
like 2-3 knots essentially.
Exactly. And what that'll do is it'll help you figure out, your bottom speed that you can keep with while keeping flow over your foils. So you always want to keep your rudder and your keel or centerboard, kind of attached to the water. You never want it to disconnect, because as soon as that happens and you try to reaccelerate, generally what will happen is the boat will slide sideways.
Right.
So, trying to find that bottom speed where your foils stay connected, and just staying in that high mode with your main in and your traveler up, and really working to, just see where that bottom edge is really important for your pre-start routine.
Got it. Yeah, controlling that boat in that very down speed moment is just absolutely huge. You're right.
Yeah. And what goes along with that, kind of my next tip for the thing is just figuring out how to manage your hole. So after you've made you picked your spot, figure out where you want to start, and you're tacking in your spot or accelerating into your hole, working on both creating your room to lure to you so that you can have a nice acceleration, and also looking out behind you to make sure that, we call it like if there's a shark coming. So maybe designating someone on your boat if you're sailing, with someone, to just give you a heads up if you have a shark coming. We call it behind you, and that way you can put the bow down early enough and kind of protect that hole. So the hole management is huge. But again, that goes alongside the down speed kind of approach to the line, and the higher you can stay while just keeping those flow on the foils is really important. So, and that'll help you, gain that gap to windward, and then have some room to accelerate off the line.
Yeah, there's one guy that you and I both know, Mike Buckley, that just constantly comes in at the last minute and takes your hole like that. It's really frustrating when you've got this hole just that you've just had for so long, and then the last 5 seconds. So yeah, you got to build your hole, and then you got to defend it is the biggest key.
Yeah, super high risk. I wouldn't recommend starting like Mike. Next thing I like to do is, so we'll back up a little bit here. When I'm approaching the line, I generally like to approach on port tack. And my goal is to find kind of a less congested area on the start line. And what I mean by that, try to stay away from the traffic. If the committee boat end of the line is favored, I try to start near that end, but not in the big pack right at the committee boat. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's really high risk, and I think that's just generally not a great way to, start off a regatta, especially, going for a high risk and getting shot out the back. So
right.
How to start, I like to think about the line in quarters. So I pick a quarter of the line that, if I'm doing tactics on the line, I pick a quarter that we try to start in. And then as we approach on port, we try to find, a big hole, less congested area, and tack into that hole. And then that's kind of your final approach to the line.
Right. So yeah, finding the low density is you may be giving up a little bit for line bias, but finding the low density to just make sure you get off and let your boat speed go to work.
Absolutely. And just picking, being able to go straight is huge off the line.
Yeah, exactly. You got to give yourself options.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of my 5 tips. I broke them down to manage your hole, start in less congested area. Sorry, I have one more. If you're unsure where the line is, just try to match the other boats around you. As you're approaching to that final few seconds of the gun, Stephanie likes to tell me she actually listens to kind of ratchet blocks in the boats around her, so she knows when they're going to start accelerating. If the sails stop luffing around you, that means you got to get going.
Right.
So always just matching boats around you. Generally, if you're within a pack and you can kind of just get your bow punched out, you're gonna be safe, especially if there's boats to windward of you, kind of blocking the view of your sail and everything. So,
right. Well, so it's one thing that kind of helps when you're sailing that huge regatta. You got the butterflies going. Maybe it's your first big regatta, what have you. It's interesting that first start, you're really only racing 2 other boats off the line, right? The boat below you and the boat above you. And if you can win that 3-boat battle, you can probably, at least like you said, go sail straight and give yourself some options to live a little bit longer.
Absolutely. So that's a huge one for sure. That's the goal, is to be able to go straight for, at least 2 minutes off the line. I think that's
right. And so what, I know some of our junior sailors maybe sailing opties and 420s can do the line sights and things like that. Do you use any sort of tools like electronics and that type of thing that help you find the line?
Yeah, occasionally we'll use some line sights. That's a good call. Again, Stephanie has been working a lot with that in her Olympic boat. She sails the 49er FX, and they're not allowed to have any instruments on the boat. So, and I know there's a lot of other boats and, one design fleets and around the country that you're not allowed to have any. But for me, most of the boats I sail, we have instruments. I actually have one here. This is the instrument I like to use. It's called the Vacaros Atlas.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the GPS, and it's great. So it tells me distance to the line, does a nice countdown timer for me. It gives me the heading, boat speed, heel angle, which is pretty handy on the M32s and catamarans that you're sailing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. A couple different screens here. You can get to your timer. And the beauty about this is even with polarized glasses, you can still see the screen. So super clear, vivid display, which is really nice. You can see it anywhere on the boat.
And what does one of those run?
I think they're about $1,300.
Wow, that's pricey.
Bit pricey, but worth every penny, I would say.
Right. Well, it's important to work with a financial advisor to make sure you can, fit those type of things into your budget.
Yeah, actually, if I would have 2 of them, but if I didn't buy the life insurance from Sam Rogers, I would be able to afford a few more insurance. But yeah,
got it.
He's a great definitely use Sam Rogers, Northwestern Mutual.
There you go. Thanks for the plug, Taylor. Very good. Well, I appreciate those top 5 tips. Maybe we can get those published. I know our marketing budget is, we've got some restraints, but we're working on it. And we can get those hopefully published and have those for people, and use them as a good general guide to improve the quality of our starts going forward.
And Taylor, I really like those tips. And I guess I'm just curious. I know, one of the defining characteristics of professional athletes is that they're always improving and always learning new skills. I'm just curious, I guess, with your starting game, what have you been focusing on lately that you've been trying to improve the most with regards to starting?
Yeah, so a little interesting. A lot of the starting I'm doing lately is our reach starts. So slightly different than the conventional kind of upwind, line up, slow speed starts. But I'd say the same things apply. Like just trying to find the least congested areas. Low density is huge. and especially like M32s, we try to start in a low density area that, if we get off the line well, we know we're going to get to the reach mark in, second, third, fourth. And that's the goal. And if we have a great start, we'll get there first. But the goal is to kind of just keep ourselves in the game and not really take the super high risk and try to win the favorite end, because it can go really bad for you. So that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to discipline myself with, is just being conservative and, getting off the line well. And usually that'll set you up for, having options for the rest of the race.
Awesome. Well, one thing we want to do is open it up to questions for a couple minutes here, not go too long. But Alec, I don't know if you've seen any questions roll in or not that you can maybe throw out there to Taylor.
Yeah, I've got a couple here. I want to see.
It should be entertaining.
Let's see.
I'm sure Mike Buckley's got a couple of questions.
So this is one I really like actually here from Max Siegel. This question is, what do you think the key to good communication with your crew is?
Yeah, I think we've been actually working a lot on communication on our CLGP team, and kind of 3 words I like to describe how communication should be on board: clear, concise, and consistent. So always trying to use kind of that same tone and just making sure that you're saying things very clearly on the boat. Number 2, being consistent, always trying to use the same words on board. That way people just get used to hearing those same things, and they, if you say something, then they know how to react to that, and they know what's coming up a lot quicker. And then just being concise, not being too wordy. Just try to get, some words that, paint a really big picture. So just, trying to, not, again, just keep comms as low as you can, just kind of always the same volume, that consistent level, and just, again, not overflowing the airwaves, I think is a huge thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Max, for the great question.
Yeah.
Here's another one. We've got this from Patrick Stiles. He asks, what's an unexpected challenge that you find on racing the F50s?
Every 5 seconds, it seems like there's an unexpected challenge.
Yeah, pretty much just sailing the boats is always a challenge. But yeah, I think biggest thing for me is like that's changed from going into my role in the F50s of flight control is how focused you have to be on your job, and how important it is to do your job well. So if you're sailing with a big team, making sure that you're doing your job and you're letting the other people on board have room to do their job, and kind of just remembering that if you don't do your job well, it might affect someone else's job on board your boat. So really focusing on doing your job, and usually that'll lead to a great kind of team success.
Yeah, that's really, really true. Really good point. And yeah, that pertains to a lot of other things, but particularly on a sailboat, if you start looking at somebody else and, like you said, stop doing your job, it makes everybody else's job harder. So yeah, that's a great question and a great point. Got a few more there, Alec?
Yeah, we have one from Mark Siegel. Mark asks, which buoy do you prefer, left or right?
Well, I'm gonna go left.
And why?
To be honest.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Not too sure. It's just a gut feeling. I get it.
Yeah.
I actually just got a question from the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, just chimed in.
Oh, awesome.
And he wants to know, you've raced all over the world. You've been to some amazing venues, been to some unbelievable events. Why is the Wayzata Match Cup in Lake Minnetonka your favorite event and favorite venue?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that. I mean, not only is it just awesome to be sailing in the Midwest and, inland lakes, the fresh water, that's great. Just not having salt all over your face, in your eyes, on your sunglasses, that's the worst. but just the atmosphere. I love it. You know, it's you come in from a day of racing, and you know there's so much going on shore, and just like everyone is just so appreciative of you know how hard you're working on the water and how cool it is that we're racing these high speed catamarans in front of you know downtown. And yeah, I think it's you know it's not only a sailing event, it's a kind of a citywide event. So I think it's really cool that you can get you know such a cool town involved, and you know on so many levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had a message for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He's doing a good job managing this whole thing, but we need to get back sailing soon, and we need to get out in the water and get racing. So, Alec, did you get any other questions that came through for Taylor? We're going to be wrapping up here in a couple minutes.
You should call the mayor of Miami and tell him that as well, Sam.
I will do.
Get us out on the water soon.
Right.
So we've got one from Connor Jewett, and he asks, besides Wayzata, what's your favorite place to sail and why?
There you go.
Oh, Stephanie chimes in, Lake Beulah. That might be.
Hey, maybe when you guys start having a family, you'll be lucky enough to do it in the Midwest in Wisconsin. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, possibly. We'll see. That might be the most stressful place to sail, Lake Beulah.
Right.
Why is that?
Oh, just shifty, crazy conditions, breeze from everywhere. But I'd say, you know, I love sailing in the Virgin Islands. To me, there's no better place. But you know, Lake Garda is obviously a fan favorite. It's pretty incredible. Sam's been there a few times; he can vouch for it. And then you know, Sydney Harbor is pretty amazing as well. You know, San Francisco, all these iconic venues are amazing. So again, I'm so lucky to have the opportunity to sail in all these great places, and yeah, I'd say those are the top of the list right there.
It was pretty cool in that F50 event you guys did in Sydney this year when they had that island in the middle of the race course. Like, I kind of thought that was pretty cool of like, you know, we got these crazy boats and we're going to do an unconventional race course and, you know, throw a little mixture in there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And just, you know, hoping that dagger board gets on the lock so you don't run it on the rocks. It's a pretty nervous moment going into it.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, if there's anything else you want to add, Taylor, we really appreciate you having you join the call tonight. I know we got a lot of Lake Minnetonka sailors on the screen tonight, and really appreciate you stopping in. And yeah, I know, like anybody, the yearning to go sailing is stronger than ever right now. So hopefully, when this thing all clears, we can all be back out in the water and doing battle out there again.
Yeah. Well, again, donate to Minnetonka Sailing School. I'll be donating for sure, and you know, look forward to coming back to Wayzata and racing again. And until then, we can race each other on the virtual regatta, inshore racing.
And what's that website?
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick. It's an application or a website actually, but I like to race on my phone. So it's called Virtual Regatta Inshore. And,
All right.
Yeah, my username is Taylor Canfield. So come find me, set up a race.
Awesome.
We'll see you on the virtual water, Taylor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've actually been we've been doing virtual regattas on Thursdays with our high school students.
Oh, very cool. It's a good way to, you know, while we can't be on the water, it's a great way to stay connected and, you know, race against our friends, even though it's a little bit different style of racing. But I raced in the regatta today, and yeah, just absolutely hosed.
Yeah, it's fun.
Possibly the worst regatta of my life.
You got to have one of those every now and then to keep you working hard.
Yeah, fair
Well,
enough.
I had a handful of quick curated questions on behalf of the Minnetonka High School sailing team. They're rapid fire, so they'll go real quick.
Okay.
First off, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your biggest fear?
Probably losing.
Who is your favorite author?
Ooh, I don't read much, but reading this book by Jack Carr lately.
Okay. Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, I'd go Iron Man.
Okay. Do you have a nickname?
Yeah, I have a few. Some that I
Tay.
probably shouldn't say. Yeah, Sambo calls me Tay Tay. I get T, Tails.
What is your favorite animal?
Oh, I don't know. It's a tough one. I like monkeys.
Okay. Monkeys are good.
Yeah.
How many pillows do you sleep with?
1 to 2.
Generally, yeah, most people I would say.
It's pretty
Do you like roller coasters?
absolutely bigger.
What is your favorite sport outside of sailing?
Getting into the road cycling, and I've been playing a lot of squash lately.
Very
Nice.
cool. Very cool.
And I'm
Are you-
horrible at golf, but I do enjoy a good round of golf.
Yeah, me too. Are you a dog or a cat person?
Dog for sure.
Who in real life is your hero?
Well, I'm getting some evil eyes from Stephanie over there. Yeah. I was looked up to Peter Holmberg when I was growing up as a sailor.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I read that in one of the interviews, a past interview with you. He was a Virgin Island sailor at Match Racer.
He was, yeah, America's Cup winner.
Cool. Oh, I didn't know that. Very cool. What is your favorite movie?
Probably a Will Ferrell movie, I'd have to say. The guy's hilarious.
Right on. And then in all seriousness, I guess if you had one piece of advice for an aspiring professional sailor who is currently a high school sailor, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, I'd say, one thing that I've tried to live by in my sailing career is sail as many different boats with as many different people as possible. You continue to learn so much sailing with new people and sailing different boats, and just try to, hop on a different boat. And, it's just a day, go for a sail and try to learn something new from someone. And everyone's got a different kind of outlook on how things should work on boats. And I think there's so much to be learned by sailing with different people.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. Very cool.
Good questions, Ian. Thanks for firing those off.
I like that. I like the rapid fire.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our first episode of Between Two Buoys. Thank you for being our inaugural guest, Taylor. Really fun tonight. We'll be back next week. Our special guest next week is Federico Michetti from Italy, who's going to talk to us about, just boat preparation, winning world championships, and kind of having some fun with Federico along the way as well. So again, really appreciate it. And we'll hopefully see you up on Lake Minnetonka soon.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Keep that life jacket on, Sam.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor.
Guys.
Water's cold up there.
Yeah.
See you later.
See ya.
Talk soon. Thanks, guys.